Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Jalen. We're going to be doing our Louisiana Raging Cajun men's basketball versus App State preview here. Their opener of their Sun Belt Conference season, basically getting in their conference play opens up for them against App State. And, women's basketball coming off a loss against LSU yesterday. And, we've had it's Monday. It's been a busy day in sports. And, some people are not real happy about what other people have said this weekend. That's kind of like leading off our podcast here. Let's get down into what the nitty gritty details of this is here. Of what this is here. Let me bring in Jalen. How you doing today, Jalen?
Hey, I'm doing well, Chief. It's an interesting day to be a Raging Cajun. That's it. As far as social media, I would say.
Yeah. So, it sucks, right? Whenever you say something, it kind of like goes everywhere. And so especially on the Twitter sphere, if you ain't on Twitter or X, it's causing a ruckus on our end for sure. Head coach Bob Marlin had had some words to a local television reporter, asked the question, which was, not well received on his end. And this is what, so we have the video pulled up, and we'll let Fishbowl Nation be the judge of where you think you kind of stand with them, because we've had people DM us and saying like, okay, y'all need to we're trying to be fair and try to evaluate, because we did do a video on this Bob Marlin situation here, because even last year we were even talking about it, but not nearly as bad as the record. They have this year's record's a whole lot worse than the one they had last year. So let's go pull up what they had pulled up here. So this is going to be what the question was set here. Let's see. I'm trying to see if they had. I think it was on Facebook, but I was trying to see. I did find it on Twitter. I'm trying to see if I can find the whole video of it on Facebook real quick here. Let me see here. I think it's on our Fishbowl page. I think we shared it. Okay, wait. Yes, I could switch this tab here real quick. Let me see. Let me go on our profile. Let's see. I know we had it pulled up. Let me see. Give me a second. I know that I had some recruiting news for the Cajuns as well that happened today. I had some signings. Okay. Oh, the Q&A, because I think it's very important to understand context. So I'm gonna,
Absolutely.
So let's share this tab here instead here. So, all right, y'all see my screen, right, Jalen? You see mine?
Oh wait, Chief, we don't see it yet.
Okay, sharing this tab to restream, so it should be there. Hold, give me a second. I probably gotta swap over. Oh wait, maybe I need to. So this was the Twitter. Okay, look, there it is.
There we go.
Yep. All right. So this is all live. Let's do this.
You at the game Saturday?
Wait. Let's see. All right. Here's the Q&A between Jamarcus Fitzpatrick from KATC and Bob Marlin.
Coach, why, at this point in the season, why should fans still believe in this team and the staff and also yourself?
What? Repeat that, please.
Why should fans continue to believe in this team and the staff?
Because they support our staff. They support our staff. They support our team. They're fans. We've had a lot of success if you hadn't looked around. I know you want to be negative sometimes, but we're not negative. I mean, you went and played a conference game, and you can go ask me that. You at the game Saturday? No, I didn't think you were. You hadn't been to a bunch of them, so you don't know. But our fans support our team. Their university. That's what it's about. We're not going to win a championship every year. Go back to football. Mike and them had a tremendous team, able to host a conference championship game. They're down to their third string quarterback by halftime, right? It's hard to win when you're playing good teams like that, when you're outmanned at certain spots. Anything else?
Thanks, Coach.
So, for the note of transparency here, because I think it's important to understand that this here is important to know. If you go look at the YouTube page that you all has the same video pulled up and it's the full press conference, it's definitely edited because you clearly see him walking off the press conference stage compared to the YouTube video, the very same video, he's not doing that there. So,
Oh,
I mean,
oh,
yeah, because I have it pulled up right here that I could actually show everybody, but it's 6 minutes long. I mean, I could put a link out there for y'all to watch and see what's actually going on there about what is actually transpiring between the two. And I think it's interesting of note of what's going on between the two there. But yeah, this is something that, you know, eh, it sounds like so. My initial reaction when I watched it was I feel like Bob Marlin is really feeling some pressure from it here. Because let's see, just stop sharing completely. Let me get rid of this here. So I feel like he is feeling some pressure, and that's kind of why you react that way. Okay, like I don't think it was a bad question Jamarcus and asked him. I think I was kind of shocked a little bit. Uh, I was kind of shocked, honestly. So that is something that you're gonna have to look at and really evaluate of what's really going on there because for you to have a reaction like that, you're really feeling some kind of pressure a certain way because there is pressure to win. There's pressure to win championships every single year. Now, I will defend Bob a little bit here, right here, because it is very hard to win a title every single year. He brought up Michael Desimo in the Sun Belt championship game, and it is very hard to win titles. I'm not saying that it's easy just to go walk in and do this kind of stuff here. Um, but like when we did the pro and con of keeping Bob Marlin, it was a very like hot button episode we did because everybody was kind of like really hitting, watching it and trying like DMing us and saying like, well, why y'all think that he should stay and stuff. But I broke down what standards were, like what you think the men's basketball team should be their standard. What is the goal? Like, what is the whole, like, I don't care what 10 people think about it. I was trying to figure out, okay, if we have this many fans in the Cajun Dome watching this program and basketball fans, like whether you're a Cajun fan or where, how many fans we have that really pay attention to basketball and are really interested in it, what do they want? What do people want to see from their head coach of their men's basketball team? Do you want to see a team that wins 4 games a year? Or do you want to see somebody that goes undefeated, wins some titles, yada, yada, yada? So look, people like thinking Elite Eight and that kind of thing. That is kind of what I saw from a couple of accounts. The Elite Eight should be the standard that you hold the program to, which would be equivalent to, College World Series. Elite Eight would be like a College World Playoff attendance. Now, granted, you're probably not going to make that every single year because it is very hard. Our baseball program hasn't gotten to Omaha since 2000. So just right there shows you how hard it is to even get there. So I think in a realistic world, in how everything should be and where we are currently across all our platforms of our sports to make a general casual fan person that they can understand what's going on around it here. You could be setting the bar too high, but what I think is Sun Belt Conference title every 4 years. I think that is, and it's not just like I don't want you just limping your way to a title because you can very well do that in any sport here. Be a regular season champion and a Sun Belt Conference tournament champion. I think you need to win both for you to be like, okay, I really have it under control. I have my 4 years. I think that is baseline for casual fans to get around. What you thinking, Jalen?
yeah, I agree. I agree with that. There has to be a baseline. There has to be a certain amount of years to where, okay, like you need to meet expectations. If you don't, we got to find somebody else to do the job. Now, as far as the video, what I took from it was one of the biggest things I saw that he said is true is that yes, it is hard to win every year. Now, what I would have said in the press conference, you can't win it every year. I wouldn't say that because the goal for you is to win it every year. So you don't want people thinking, hey, you're going in it like, hey, like if we don't win it, it's okay. But no, it's not. Your job is, you want to win. I'll say that. But as far as the whole thing in general, I didn't think from the get go that it was a negative question. I think it was a question to where, hey, coach, you start Sunbelt play on Wednesday. You're 2-9. Like, hey, like what's going to make fans want to come in and actually tune in to Sunbelt Conference games against stiff competition in the Sunbelt, whether against non-conference teams. So I think the question wasn't bad. I think his response to it was, okay, yeah, and I kind of agree with you too, Chief. He could be facing some pressure. Honestly, I'll be facing pressure too. My team only won 2 games so far, so I understand it. But I think that the further response that he gave, I could tell it was kind of irritating him to an extent.
Yeah, because like you're being asked like what's going on with the team, what's going on with the team. Like every week that they're going in these press conferences, and you're starting to feel a little bit of pressure, if you will, with that there. So it's tough out there. It's tough to win titles, like he said, and I completely agree with what he said there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You know what? You know what else? You know what else I thought about too, Chief?
what's that?
That he said that, hey, did you come to the game on Saturday? And I think Jamarcus said no, and he was like, yeah, well, see, you didn't come to the game on Saturday. You haven't been to a couple games. Well, the thing about it is too, let's say he came to the games. The Cajuns still lost the games, whether he came or not.
Yeah, that kind of like it was like a snark attack. Like he's definitely like watching to see who's there, which is a fair point, in that regard there. It's fair. You're just doing what you got to do at that point, You're kind of along for the ride in that response there. So it is very tough to have that go on.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough to win. I agree with him 100%.
Yeah,
it is tough. It is tough to win.
It's they even have I know Brad Boyd played basketball at UL. Like about a decade ago. Not a decade. Oh man, I'm showing my age. Almost like
yeah, Brad is gonna be upset with you.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Look, so because that a decade goes like Alfred Payton and stuff. But yeah, yeah, I'm just gonna like skip that whole thing there. So, but look, they had a Facebook page that wants Brad Boyd to be the head basketball coach at UL. They are starting a grassroots campaign, which for the people that don't want Bob Marlin, that is a very good thing for them to do. I think grassroots efforts are really good for any team that shows that you have a program supporting you and have people supporting or paying attention to your program and want it to do good. It's not a bad thing, to be honest with anybody, but it's rough, man, because the one thing that hurts whenever you do coaching changes in general is stability. And we know in this day and age, coaches matter probably more than any other point in college athletic history. Because a coach leaves, you're losing your team, basically, especially at basketball, because there's not as many people in basketball as there baseball. Like if Coach Desimo would leave like tomorrow to go take another job somewhere else, a lot of that team's leaving with him. Same thing with Coach Matt Deggs. If he leaves tomorrow, a lot of the baseball team's going with him. That's just the way the transfer portal is. And we could talk more about the transfer portal while the timing of where it's at in the date, but a lot of people don't understand that they have these academic calendars. We would have to change the academic calendars of every single college across the country to fit a certain format, and that would not work out that well. But that, we started school, I think it was like middle of January, whenever I went to UL. That was a couple of years ago. And that's how it was. I think it was like January 15th or, 16th. It would change, with the calendar or whatever. but it was like the second week of January. You had like your first week off usually for January, and then you went to school, and then that's when the semester was starting, whatever else. So the whole transfer portal thing is gonna be interesting to kind of play out in the future here. But I mean, looking at let's talk the actual like basketball here part of this here because I hope Coach can turn it around here. So let's pull up see what I'm talking about here.
I think, Chief, the big, and
Real
I think the
quick.
biggest thing too that we're trying to like reiterate to people is that we're not wishing any downfall on Bob Marlin or anything. We're just trying to, trying to see like, hey, is the basketball team going to pick it up because they are struggling this year.
Yeah, it's not to kick someone when they're down. Definitely not. That is not what we're trying to get across. But he did. I sense pressure in body language and stuff. I do feel like he's under like. I mean, would you not be under pressure with this going on? You're trying to figure out what's so your net rankings ain't pulling up this kind of stuff here. That one win that you had against a UT Dallas, that win technically with the net rankings doesn't count when they put it all together. That's why Warren Nolan doesn't really pull it up as much. That's why it only has them at 1-9, even though they did win 2 games technically for the state. So the Cajuns are 2-9. They're going to start Sunbelt Conference play on Wednesday here. I think this App State game is probably a must win. This would be a huge win for the Cajuns here because so later on in the press conference, he did allude to this fact here that look, we're down in the standings here, but we win App State. Shoot, we're one of the top teams in the league. And he's not lying.
Yeah, he's not.
You shoot up from the bottom here. And so non-conference games are a good way to see how you are against the rest of the country. You see there's a lot of red L's right here. Not looking good here. So these RPI records here, look, this is what their live RPI data is showing. 311. That's not where you want to be at all. That is completely about one of the worst RPIs you could have, basically. Your net rankings him at 349, RPI 311. Strength of schedule is 92. Non-conference strength of schedule is 88. So it is not in the hundreds or whatever. So got to give him a little bit of not really slack too much with the record, but it isn't like he had like a 300 something like strength of schedule record here. So he played a very good Houston team that's ranked here. Some of these teams they lost to, like Liberty and George Washington, 8-1, 9-2. Louisiana Tech is 7-2. So there is a little bit of merit there, but it's not completely like getting you off the hook kind of merit either. That's not going to satisfy because these Southland like Nichols and Lamar, I think they should win both because the trend with the Cajuns this year has been second half performances here. I'm gonna pull up all these games to show you what I'm talking about. Second half letdowns here. Like it's been a reoccurring theme here with them here. The only game they really got better out to have was Southeastern. Lamar, that's so like look, 33-22. They were down by 11, then outscored 41-23. Not looking good right there. Especially whenever you shoot 26.4% from the floor, you're not going to do well at all in Lamar. Sometimes you got a team that just shoots hot and they'll beat you. But look here, they got outshot again in field goals, but they still managed to win because they hit more 3-pointers. That was the difference in that Southeastern game. So once again, down low in the floor, 50 Tech, Louisiana 40 again, 35, right there to 24. Like it's a reoccurring theme here. So they fall apart in the second half here. I think a good bit of the reason why their problems that they have right now is the fact that it's just they're I think they're outmanned right now, honestly. They do have some injuries going on with the Cajuns here, with Hosanna being out, your big man down low. And would he make a big difference? I think this record would be a little bit different if he was on the floor, maybe too. They would probably have a couple of more wins. And that's something to kind of like look at and think about here, what's actually going on here. So, look, I think that's the way you're looking at it here. And you're just so it is what it is here. And that's just the way about it right now. They just got to figure out how to close out these games here. With them, and that's just the way it is here. That what you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I think, yeah, like you said, and we're sitting, you have it right there pulled up, Chief. Thanks for showing that. When it comes to like when it comes to like games, look at the second half where they're getting like outscored, and that's how they're losing games. And then some of the games that we seen weren't even close. The game against Lamar was what they almost lost by like 30 points, which we expected them to get a win. After beating a southeastern team, but it just didn't happen. It's basketball. You're not gonna win them all, just like Coach said. But against Tech, losing by 11, Louisiana Tech, I'm referring to, lost to Nichols by 1 point. Like you expect them to lose against teams like Houston. It's just they're a national title team every year, but to lose like to the UABs, the Nichols, or Louisiana Tech, I mean it's a rough start, but the good thing about it is, I do agree with Coach Marlin said. We haven't played a conference game yet. Well, the first test Wednesday against App State, who's a very good team in the Sun Belt. So I guess we'll see then what they're
All
made
right,
of.
so this is predicted results for what rest. And this could be way off. I mean, this thing has been way off, but that's a good like when a year, like 5 or 6, then we'll see. But here, this is not official yet. One in the live, kind of see what here. So RPI projected to be a 250, overall, home 2-8 on the road. That's where they got. I want to see what they got us eating here. So they got wins against Coastal, Old Dominion, ULM. They got a sweep in ULM, which ULM's 2-8 here. I mean, the Sun Belt historically is not good at basketball. I mean, like as a conference, we don't normally have good basketball teams. Southern Miss, they got us beating them. Even they're 3-6 right now. Troy, Marshall lost. Troy, it's got us on a big losing streak from February 5th to like. I don't think we won a game in February. Okay, we win one game in February and predict the results. Interesting. So yeah,
One game.
one game in February. You got South Alabama right there. Then you got lost all the way down to South Alabama. So yeah, in January we got a couple of wins. Yeah, we do pretty good in January according to the predicted results. But yeah, I think the App State game will be a huge win for the Cajuns if they're able to win that one here. And with McNeese coming aboard on Sunday here, we're talking about both those games here and Will Wade and company there. It's going to be tough to see what's really going to happen. So just looking at it here and just seeing that result, man, you got to be ready to go at that point because it's going to be really tough on them to win. They have. I feel like they're outmanned this year. I feel like they have injuries, and I feel like they're not. Because you talk about changing up the lineup, I feel like the scheme that they're running isn't quite matching what the players need. Which that's your job as a coach to figure out what you got to do, put people in the right position, figure out, do you need to be up tempo? Do you need to play in the backcourt? What do you need to do to put your guys in the right spot here? If you're struggling down low in the box and getting rebounds and stuff, you got to make sure you're hitting them shots on the outside so they can come up to try to play more out. That way you can start dumping stuff inside for that to happen. And it just hasn't happened from the outside. What you think, Jalen? You think it's a scheme issue, you think, for the Cajuns? Or you think it's a lineup issue? Do you think it's guys? What you think?
So it could be, but but recently he's been using some of the same few guys in the lineup. You got Kencher Garnett right there in the lineup, Mustafa right there in the lineup. So I don't think the lineup is. I just think the way that, I wouldn't even say it's the scheme. I just think that the way they're just they're playing against teams because they need to make shots, and that's something that they're not doing. I think they just need to make more shots. And what the thing is, you make more shots on the offensive end, it's easier to set up your defense, and that way you play better defense too.
Well, you need guys that can play both sides, though, too.
Yeah.
Or like if you're struggling shooting, but you got your best defensive players out there, that should technically tell you that you should be able to play very good defense and be able to beat them, right? I think
Yeah,
that
no,
would
no,
be kind of
absolutely. Because the way,
um,
in a way, in a way, in a way, basketball is too. I mean, just because somebody's good on the defensive end doesn't mean that they're the best scorer. But then you got guys that can shoot the lights out of basketball, but are not like they're not really that good on defense. But it evens out because that's how you determine your starting lineup.
look, that's all it is, a balancing act. Okay, you gotta weigh the good with the bad. Like it depends on the situation on the floor. What are you doing? Like, are you going to be shooting the ball? Would you rather more of an offensive team? Which I think the Cajuns kind of do need more offense than they do defense, basically, because whatever's working right now isn't working. Whatever they're trying to do right now isn't working. So I think just changing it up. I think I would just throw the whole thing into throw the kitchen sink at it and see what works because right now you have to do it now. Like if I would have lost my first 5 or 6 games and I've been 1-6, I'd have been throwing up all kind of different lineups and stuff and just try to just change it up and to see what I have to see what works and what doesn't here. I would have definitely went more offensive prowess there. That way I could just maybe if I ain't got no defense, I might as well try to outscore them. That's basically my mentality basically because
Yeah,
it's like if they can't stop you on offense, they're gonna have to keep pace with you. And at that point here, every time you touch the ball, you're gonna have to score because you know the other team's going down the floor and scoring against you. That would be really tough to do. Now, that seems to be the problem here. So I guess predicting both these games is gonna be kind of tough here. Uh I don't think the Cajuns win against App State. I got them losing to App State. And McNeese, they got to show me something. I think McNeese beats the Cajuns. After what McNeese did last year with the NCAA tournament, with Will Wade and stuff, right now they're not as good as they were last year. They're not really setting the world on fire. They're 3-5 right now, but that could very well change. I think that's and their RPI is 78 so far. And look, that's one of those things that's going to be really tough on the Cajuns, I think, here because with the way it's going, they're gonna have to find out something because right now they whatever they have like Alabama, Liberty, that's who in Mississippi State, that's who McNeese and they lost to Mississippi State by 3 points. So you're gonna be dealing with
yep.
that, and they lost by 8 points to Alabama, which is the top 10 team in the country. So that's not anything to shake any stick at or like say they're not worth my time, but they're going to have to figure out what they got to do. How you think this goes down, Jalen?
Yeah, I think the Cajuns do have a chance against App State. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, Chief. I think they win against App State because not only is the game at home, but at the same time, after everything else that's going on, it's your first conference game. You want to prove something, and Coach Marlin wants to prove his team, can get better because, like you said, they haven't played a conference game yet. This is the game to prove it against a good App State team. So I think they do get the win, but I think it's really going to be close. But against this McNeese team, who you said like barely lost to Alabama, who barely lost to what it was 3 points to Mississippi State. So and this team went to the tournament last year. Like Will Wade turned his whole program around. I think occasionally will have a tough one against McNeese. So I think McNeese is going to win this one. But I just can't see them losing both of them. I really can't. But it could happen.
Hey, you were right about the Southeastern game. I picked them to lose both last week, but
Yeah.
I want them to prove to me that they can consistently win games. Consistency is the key to winning a championship. If you consistently put up a good effort, you should be able to win. So that's kind of what I'm going at with it here. And that's just the way it is right now. So, but right now, talk about Louisiana Education women's basketball. So they're coming off a loss against LSU. Tough environment to win in the PMAC. They lost 87. They do got a tough game against Auburn, but this one's at home. Then they got a non-division one opponent against Dillard here. They'll take care of business against Dillard, I'm sure of it here on Friday. They got 3 games this week. Then they got at Georgia Southern on December 29th. So I'm thinking here, I want to see how well they play against Auburn. That would really influence Southern, I think. It's at noon. I wish it was kind of at night because I would love a bigger crowd for it. But they're definitely like carrying the basketball bandwagon this year. 3-4 uh, is their official like record in Division One, but they have winning Orleans. They got their game canceled against Mobile, so they have, and they got the Dillard game, so that's 4. They're technically 4 at 500. So net ranking 156, RPI 133 right now. So just trying to see where they're going to end up being at here. So let me go share this screen with y'all here real quick as I go through this here. Let's just let me throw up this super here real quick, changing this up. So Jalen, what you think about the Louisiana women's basketball team so far?
So far they're having a decent year. I would say so far they've had a couple close losses, but they've had some good wins too in between. But when you look against a team like Minnesota, I mean, really it's hard to win against big teams like that. And the game against LSU, I mean, you're going against a team who still has Flajay Johnson, who won a national championship a couple years ago, and pieces like who still has Anissa Morrow, who came back, who has Michaela Williams, who came back from an LSU team that made a deep run last year when they had Angel Reese. So, I mean, LSU is one of the top teams in the whole nation, not just the SEC. So, the Cajuns, it is a tough loss because you want to beat an in-state opponent, but LSU was just too much for the Cajuns. But the next test that you got to see them against at home against Auburn. And like you said, this gonna be this imagine it's a night game, and a lot of people be able to come and show up and support. But 11 a.m. on Wednesday, that's gonna be a good test for this Cajun women's team to see what they can do before they start conference play. But they don't start until Sunday against and not even this Sunday, next week against Georgia Southern.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, I was H right there. My bad. I was like, man, they're playing 3 games this week. I apologize, guys. It's been a long day today. But yeah, 18, 27 to 29. So yeah, look, so Wednesday they got Auburn. I think they'll end up winning against Dillard next week for sure. Looking at ahead here. So you can kind of win on that regard, or that record right there. Auburn tough out here. Auburn will be a very tough out, but I think they could pick up the win here. They're gonna have a very excited crowd because they have a bunch of kids. Education game, and they invite a bunch of local schools to come out to these games and stuff. And I think that's a really cool thing that UL does. But a lot of other schools actually do it too. So, but I think it's really good that the colleges actually interact with their local community, get some kids that may, hey, I want to be a Raging Cajun. It's cool to be a Raging Cajun. That's kind of a thing that you want to inspire for, generations to come. But I'm thinking, I think they dropped the game against Auburn. I think they'll probably, when we do our podcast next week, we can talk more about it, but we're going to be more about the bowl game basically. But, so, and then they start Sunbelt play against that Georgia Southern. So, kind of looking ahead here, they did have some tough competition this year. So the women's basketball team is really playing a tough schedule, which will help once it gets down to choosing for the tournament here. When we get down to it, because they've played games like Minnesota, LSU, Cleveland State, and Rice, and all having winning records. Nichols having a winning record, 6-2, but they beat them. Illinois, they were very close to beating them. So, and then UNO, they beat them. So look, a lot to look forward to with the women's basketball team. I think they could definitely make a good run this year after they didn't perform very well last year, but that's last year. Focus on this year here, the 2025 season, basically, as we call it, but the 2024-2025 season, you want to call it. So I think Auburn will get away from them. But what do you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I think the Cajuns do play it close, but I think Auburn is going to get the win. But guess what? I think they're going to bounce back when they take on Dillard, get that win, and then they'll go into Georgia Southern feeling good about their chances because I think they could beat Georgia Southern too.
Yeah, I think they're looking really good to beat Georgia Southern. Like the way it's looking right now, I think if they could get by James Madison, that would be a huge win for them too. That one's really what I'm circling on my radar for sure because I think that'd be a really good game to go see here. Night game. It's a Thursday night. People can make it out to that game. It's free. You can bring your kids. It'd be a very good game for them. That January 2nd one's gonna be a really good one.
Oh, bring a new year in.
Yeah, I mean, look at the RPI ranking so far, 36. That'd be a huge win for the Cajuns. Big old win. So I think that about does it here on our end. Jalen, anything you want to say before we get off here?
Um, well, I just want to say that technically football season isn't over with, but we are in the swing of the beginning of basketball season. So everybody keep tuning in to the Raging Cajuns men's and women's team, both teams.
All right. So yeah, next week we're gonna do our bowl preview, and this will be. We'll have one more podcast before we get off here, but before Christmas time here shows up here, and everybody be with their family and stuff. So I'll pull us back on screen here. Thank y'all for tuning into this episode here of the Fishbowl Radio. It'll be a great and wonderful night, everybody. We'll see you here next time here on the Fishbowl Radio. Here we'll keep covering this team here. We're gonna stick with them through thick and thin and see what happens here. Thank you to everybody that has joined our pod tonight and watch what we had to do here. We've got a couple people join on Instagram and YouTube. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great, wonderful night. We'll see you here next time. Fishbowl Radio. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.